Guess who's back?
Your tower has been destroyed!
Our core is under attack!
I always find my mark. It's over. Sorry.
This enemy onslaught!
Was unexpected.
Our core is under attack! Our core is under attack! Our core is under attack!
Enemy bloodbath!
Our core is under attack! Our core is under attack!
Minchang Horan Iwin.
Our core is under attack!
It's over.
Enemy dominating!
Our core is under attack! Our core is under attack!
Minna ho nakaparan ibobanen.
Our core is under attack!
It's over.
Shut down!
It's all skill. Acquiring target.